I'm joined by University of Central Oklahoma quarterback Dawson Herl. Dawson, thank you for taking the time this afternoon to come on and talk to me. Could you start by telling the viewers, listeners out there, a little bit about yourself?
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. My prior school was Missouri Southern. I played there from 2019 to 2022, I believe, and then came and decided to join the UCO football team and transfer out of Missouri Southern, and it's been a blessing ever since.
What kind of surprised me, now I was not aware you were also a 4-year leather winner in basketball. Now, I know you've got some hoop heads on your team. We talked to Terrell not too long ago. So if you were to describe your game as a basketball player, how would you describe it?
I was definitely, your typical big white shooter. I could shoot the ball for sure. You can look up my highlights on a good old Huddle, and it's a lot of me shooting the three. So,
now, do you ever play your teammates in one-on-one?
Not too much on one-on-one, but we did before break. We got into the gym a couple of times and played some 5-on-5 and just got some good runs just to keep the body moving since we didn't have football and we were kind of bored.
Okay. And you also lettered 1 year in baseball. Now, what brought you to baseball for that 1 year?
So I played my freshman year and I was on JV. And then I really thought I was going to end up playing college basketball. So I dropped playing baseball and was just AAU all the time in the summer. And then after I ended up committing to go to play football at Missouri Southern my senior year, I talked to my dad and he was like, might as well play baseball. So went out and played baseball and kind of had a good little season. So
okay. Because I know football takes quite a bit of time. So then playing football, basketball, then AAU basketball, like how are you able to kind of manage all that plus school?
Oh, it was terrible for a while. When I was having football in the morning from 6 to 10, and then going from football to basketball from 10 to noon, and then at night I'd have baseball practice. So it was terrible. So it was definitely a learning experience that I had to kind of step away and see what my body could take.
I was saying, because what are you sleeping?
Oh, it was not fun. My body was so beat up, torn up. I was tired. Oh, it was terrible.
Oh, it was great. Now, okay, so now for those of us that might not be too familiar with the Missouri high school football scene, what is that like?
I would say it's kind of similar here to Oklahoma, but we definitely don't have like the Bigsby's and the Carl Albert that just win almost every year. It's kind of a toss-up most years. So other than that, it's pretty similar, I would say.
And your last 2 years at William Crispin there, you threw for 2,290 yards, 26 touchdowns. What was working for you those last 2 years to help you put up those kind of numbers?
Really kind of just the players around me. I had really good support help those last couple of years, and I actually hit a big old growth spurt before my really going into my sophomore year. Before that, I was like 5'9", and then I ended up growing to like 6'4", just like that over a summer, and it was hard on the body. So kind of gave myself a year to learn how to adjust to my body, and then my junior and senior year kind of came into my body finally and wasn't so much of a little deer on ice out there. So
yeah, I mean that's a pretty mighty big growth spurt. So like what was, I guess, the hardest part of that?
Oh, my knees. Oh, it was terrible having to deal with the knee pain. I know a lot of other athletes can definitely kind of tell you when you hit a growth spurt, the tendonitis and all that in your knees. Oh, it's just hurts all the time. So that's just something you got to kind of deal with.
Yeah, because you're still playing basketball during that time, just the wear and tear in general from you. Okay, hey, I give you props, brother. How you doing that? All that stuff. Now, when you kind of look back on your high school career, because you did help lead your high school to the most wins in a 4-year span. You were conference champs in 2016. What kind of stands out to you the most when you look back at your high school career?
Kind of going into my high school, we weren't very good at any sport. We were just kind of the team that everybody kind of beat up on. And I'd say my class and the class before me of 2018 kind of set the standard and just came into Chrisman and had something to prove. And we had a good group of guys that ended up kind of changing the culture around there and making it so we weren't so looked down upon in the Kansas City area, and could really compete with any team in the area for any sport.
And what does that mean to you looking back, knowing that you helped raise the standard and then also set the new standard in the process?
It means a lot, especially just because like we get to look back, me and my teammates that I grew up with, and kind of got to show everybody else and really set our mark in history and do things that haven't been done at my high school ever before. So it's always good when you can say you were the first to do something.
Now you signed with Missouri Southern out of high school. So first, what was the recruiting process like for you?
I would say I really didn't get too much love outside of really the MIAA. I was recruited by Southern. I was recruited by Fort Hays, a little bit by Emporia and Washburn, but ended up really coming down to only Southern and Fort Hays really offering me a scholarship to try to play there. So it was kind of a slow recruitment, but I really was going through the whole thing, not even knowing if I was going to play football or if I was going to end up playing college basketball.
So then how did you did it naturally just gravitate like, okay, football's the best option, or did you have a legit option at both and then chose football?
I think I would have had legit options at both. Probably would have been a Division II basketball player as well. But I talked to my dad in the decision-making process, and I kind of just sat back and thought to myself, which one did I see myself having a higher ceiling in, and being able to have a more sustainable career and kind of do something special. And I ended up picking football because I was such a raw football player, didn't really know too much in high school with my knowledge, and it really showed when I first got to Southern and I didn't have a clue what was going on for the most part.
So when it came down to Fort Hays and Missouri Southern, what was it about Missouri Southern that made you decide that that's where you wanted to go?
Well, the 4 years in high school, we always went down to Joplin and played in the Kaminsky Classic for a tournament right after January. It was like January 4th through the 9th, usually something around there. So I was familiar with the area. And then Jeff Sims was a new head coach there coming in, and he had ideas that I really liked, and I knew kind of who he was and the winning that he brought to Garden City and Dodge. So that was a big factor in kind of why I ended up going to Missouri Southern.
And then you ended up redshirting your first year. So now what's that experience like? Because here you go from, having great success your junior and senior year to now only relegated to being able to practice. What was that experience like?
I definitely knew I was not ready to play in this league. I was 180 pounds coming in. Wasn't very strong, wasn't very fast, didn't really know too much about football. And I had some great guys ahead of me in Jacob Park that kind of taught me a lot about the game, Dwayne Lawson, and then Sean Kelly. I had 3 kind of older quarterbacks in the room that all played high-level football before Sims brought them to Southern, and taught me a lot about being a quarterback and how to play the game.
Yeah, because both Jacob and Dwayne were both highly regarded prospects, both Power 5 guys before they came down. I was very impressed by that room, because very rarely do you get 2 high level guys like that in the same room. So when you kind of look back on your redshirt season, what kind of was the hardest part of it?
Dealing with everything that kind of came with Coach Sims, there was a lot of work. We'd be there for hours on end, and it kind of opened my eyes to what college football truly is, to being at the facility from 7, then going to class, and then coming back for meetings, and then you have practice and you have weights and all that. So really just the adjustment period from coming from high school, and you're spending 3 hours to 4 max a day, to now you're spending 6, 7, 8 just on football.
And so 2019 happens, you redshirt, you're entering 2020, like, all right, I can play in games, and then COVID happened. So now you're relegated to no fault of your own anybody. You're now like you pretty much lost the season there. So now it's been almost 2 years since you played in a meaningful football game. Did that start to weigh on you mentally? Like, okay, is this worth it? Here I am doing all this work, but not able to really show, what I can do.
It definitely was a really long journey, just because, we didn't get to play, and we were just putting in so many hours. And then when we were getting into fall, and we were maybe thinking about having a season, and then COVID ended up happening, and boom, everything just taken away just like that. And just really sucked, because you looked forward to – ended up going to be the starter that year, and just snatched away from me so quick, and I had nothing I could say except for just another year of pretty much redshirting. So –
And then on top of that, at some point there's a coaching change where Coach Bradley comes in. So now you're dealing with all 3 of that. What was the coaching change like? What was that? Were you just set on, like, all right, whoever the coach is, I'm gonna just ride it out and stay here, or like were there thoughts of maybe looking elsewhere when the coaching change happened?
I was definitely a big Jeff Sims guy, and the coaches that he brought in. So when he ended up kind of getting the boot out of there, I definitely thought about maybe trying my luck JUCO or something. And since I was technically still a freshman, but just decided to talk to my dad, and he said that he thought the best thing for me was to kind of ride it out and do my schooling, get my degree, and see who they bring in. And ended up bringing a Tiba Bradley, and he's hands down great guy. I loved playing for him. Totally different style than Jeff Sims, though, because Sims, JUCO guy, so you know how he kind of gets down. And Coach Bradley, he's a lot easier to deal with for sure than old Coach Sims.
Yeah, because I know Coach Bradley is well respected within the conference. Just talking to the other coaches there. So you ended up starting finally. Finally ended up starting in 2021. What was that first start like? Because here it is, first time playing since high school, first time starting since high school. What were the emotions? What was the mindset? What was that first game like?
I was so nervous. I remember it. We were going and played UNK first game, and we ended up having a 2.5-hour rain delay, I think, for my first game. So we didn't get to start the game until like 10 o'clock at night, and we ended up finishing at like midnight, a little past midnight, and it sucked. It wasn't very, very fun waiting 2 hours. Anxious could be, knowing that I'm about to get my first start and play one of the better teams with TJ Davis kind of leading I think that was the year that he was up there for the Harlem Hill. So he was definitely one of the stronger quarterbacks in the league to kind of start my career in the MIAA against.
Well, I tell you, man, that's like they don't want, the football guys did not want Dawson. That's the stuff. That goes to a redshirt year, a lost season. They have to do a rain delay. Oh, that's just. Now, you got your first win, and I preface this by saying I know this is painful for the UCO fans. Yeah, your first win as a starter. It is the great going for the first win. You threw the game week touchdown pass. I'm going to insert the clip on the video. Just walk me through, because I'm not going to lie to you. I was there. It was a very, I don't want to say boring game. It was
a boring game. We couldn't get anything. Either team couldn't get anything happening on offense. And our only touchdown before that was a pick six. One of our guys got, and then we were down with 50 seconds left or something like that. We hadn't moved the ball a lick really most of the game, and we ended up kept seeing the same look. They had pressing our wide receivers, and we had Brian Boyd at the time, and he was a extremely good receiver, great off the press, and they ended up spinning the safeties and spun it away from Brian Boyd. So we ended up just getting an easy little hole shot to kind of win the game in that fashion and get my first career win at the place that I ended up coming and wanting to be the starter for my last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm not because I remember I didn't see all I remember seeing in the moment was like I hear cheering on the opposite side, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I see a white jersey just streaking down the field. And I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. That was probably the most quiet I have heard Watland and Richardson Stadium, and in my time covering up to that point, it was like, well, that happened. So yeah, because there's still a few of your teammates now that was on that team. Do you still kind of mention that at times, or we letting bygones be bygones? Like, that was a different time now, or do you still kind of give them some flack for that?
When I first got here, they loved to bring it up and talk always about it. And then even the second matchup when you guys came to good old Southern and we won, I think 40-21 there. And it was always a good little time to kind of see who I kind of put the whooping on, and put faces to names, and ended up being my teammates. And just good stories to kind of, hey, I always got one more up on you because I beat you in a game. So
yeah. You brought it up. Now you brought up the one in Joplin. Now we jumped up ahead here, but like, what happened at because it was close. It was close early in that fourth. I remember Dante McGee got a touchdown. I was like, all right, this is gonna be a close game down to finish. and then you look up, and then like a matter of minutes, it felt like you all were up by 20. What in the world happened? Because I still can't figure out what happened. So maybe the quarterback on the winning side of that can tell me what happened for the rest of that fourth quarter that led what was it, like one possession game to a 20-point win.
Yeah, I mean, for a little bit there, we couldn't. I think it was the end of the third. Really, we didn't get much going, and you guys ended up scoring on like 2 touchdowns to cut the lead down. And going into the fourth, kind of, we've seen too many games at Southern kind of slip away in that fashion, and ended up getting another. I think I rushed for one in the fourth, and then threw for one that was like the 50-yard touchdown to kind of wrap up the game and send it to the 3-score limit. So it's always a little fun to just kind of see and think about that game. And because I never would have thought that I'd be here at Central Oklahoma, especially after playing y'all for the last 2 years. And then so it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Because I for the life of me, I could not figure out what in the world happened there down the stretch. I don't know what. And you blink, and it went from a 1-score game, and we down by 20, and I was just like, "What in the world just happened?" Okay. Now I appreciate you just giving me details because that was yeah. Okay. Well, so you ended up finishing your freshman season, starting 11 games, playing for 2,260 yards, 16 touchdowns. You had 2 300-yard games. You went for 283 and 3 against a ranked Washburn team. What kind of stands out to you the most about your first year as a starting quarterback at the college level?
I just kind of, got more comfortable as the year progressed, and really just had a attitude as, we had nothing to lose, just because, Southern before that point was really just looked at like Lincoln. No shots to Lincoln, but we're just not a very good football team. Everybody would come in, it's going to be an easy game. We're going to blow them out by 4 or 5 touchdowns. We're going to just run up the stats. And we kind of changed that. And really my freshman year got to show the whole league that we could really compete with everybody. I know we didn't get it done in the win column, but we played so many games close. We even played Pitt at our home close. We ended up losing like by 4 points, I think, my freshman year against Pitt. And just really played everybody close except for Northwest, which that was the year that they just were insane up front. They had the kid that ended up getting drafted by the Patriots. He was a game changer for sure. I think they ended up sacking me like 7 times that day.
Yeah, well, I don't feel bad because I think we were sacked probably about 5-6 times ourselves in that game. I think everybody was getting sacked about that amount of time against that team. But you give me up a good point because I remember in 2018, UCO beat Missouri Southern 31-0, and that was felt as a disappointment. Like, I remember they were only up, I think, 10-0 at the half, and talking to guys that were played there, I heard that was not a happy locker room. So, yeah, like you mentioned before, being able to kind of, even though maybe the win wasn't necessarily there, being more competitive, I think, opened some eyes. And then you all still built off that the following year, because you went from 3 wins, I think, to 4 wins, which culminated in 7 wins during your time there, which the team had 4 wins in the previous 4 years combined. So when you kind of look back on that, what does that mean to you to know that you kind of helped a really bad program at the time become respected within a very tough conference?
It was definitely something that I take pride in. I still claim Joplin is my home, just because I spent so much time there. I spent so much hours put in on that field, and I sweat so much with my teammates on that team. But it was kind of disappointing in all, just because I couldn't get them to really make that next step and make the jump to be a middle of the pack to a top team in the pack in the MIAA.
And so you kind of finished your career there with a good amount of accolades. I mean, you set the freshman single season and career record for pass attempts without a pick at 138. You're 9th in single season passing yards, 3rd in single season freshman passing yards, 3rd single season freshman completions. You were 2-time MIAA academic honor roll. When you kind of look back on your time at Missouri Southern, what sticks out to you the most?
I would say just my first couple of years kind of set the foundation, and I really understood what hard work at the college level will kind of get you. And really just the time you put in will really show in the end, just because, I mean, if you're not putting in the time, we wouldn't have changed the program like we did there. And even though we didn't get it all the way how we wanted to at the time. But
and so then after the 22 season, you entered the portal as a grad transfer. So first, what was your experience in the portal like? Because I remember, I think you went on a visit to, I want to say it was like Arkansas State. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I'm not surprised by this. But I'm thinking like, dang, that probably means we don't have a shot at this man. And then I see he commits, and I'm about to throw a party over here. So like, what was your experience in the portal like? And then how did you decide that UCO is where you wanted to finish your career in?
It was a lot different my second time around, just because I really didn't get any type of interest coming out of high school. And so the second time around, I got a lot more teams contacting me. I mean, I had some D1s hit me up, but like Arkansas State, as you mentioned, but it kind of just didn't work out. I ended up finishing my sophomore year at Southern, ended up breaking my foot against Emporia. So I think that probably scared some teams away, having a quarterback that you want to come in right away and maybe compete for a spot that's got a broken foot showing up to campus, and not being able to do much until the 3rd, 4th week of workouts. So, I mean, but kind of the reason why I ended up choosing UCO was Coach Dorrell, him being at Northwest and me being a Kansas City kid. You know his name around there, because if you didn't end up going to a Division I school, everybody wanted to go play at Northwest from the Kansas City area, just because of the impact that Coach Dorrell kind of set on that program and everything that he kind of built there from in Maryville. So finding out that he came to Central Oklahoma, and the type of guy that he was, and I had my high school coaches preach for him, saying that he's a hell of a coach and a great guy. And I mean, they recommend that I go play for him, and ended up deciding that that's probably the best option for me. And the facilities here were great, and everything, the location. So all just kind of little factors that came into me picking Central Oklahoma as my next home.
Because Steph was there, he had a great 22 season. With someone with kind of limited eligibility left, I think it would have been easy to say, okay, let me go somewhere where I know I can be the front runner and start both years. Instead of maybe taking the chance of coming here and then maybe only being 1 year as the in-question starter. Like, did that factor into it at all? Or was it just more of like, UCO is where I want to be, regardless of if I end up being a multi-year starter or just being able to maybe start 1 year?
I mean, I always kind of bet on myself, and I don't think that many quarterbacks in this league offer what I had to offer. So I really kind of just took a bet on myself to try to go and win a spot at a school that, I mean, he was there for the last 3 years. I mean, it was kind of his team, and to just try to go in and put my best foot forward and try to win a spot that I knew there was going to be a tough quarterback battle to kind of just win over the team as one. Because, I mean, Steph's a great guy, and I really do appreciate everything he did for me when I came here, because I couldn't have asked for much of – I mean, he could have just been a terrible teammate to me just because, I mean, I was the transfer quarterback that beat him the last 2 years, and trying to come now take his spot and take over his team. But he just welcomed me with open arms and always was just high class to me. And I think that just kind of stands on his character and what type of person Steph was.
Yeah, I mean that you're echoing what I everybody I've talked to has said about Steph. So you get there, Steph ends up starting, and then he does end up getting banged up. Now I think the first time, maybe, now I'm sure the majority of UCO fans knew who you were from obviously beating us 2 years, but maybe ones that didn't. I think the Emporia game really opened some eyes for you. I think you went for like 363 and a few touchdowns in that game, almost led that comeback. I guess first, what was working for you in that game?
I would say obviously they kind of planned probably more for Steph as what he brought to the table. And I'd say me and Steph are kind of more opposite quarterbacks. So really just going out there and throwing the ball around and playing like I had nothing to lose that game. And it was a good little game to go back, especially because at Southern, that was my last game that I got to play before my season was kind of cut short. So it was a nice little game just to come back and really get to prove myself that I can still be a guy in the MIAA.
And then I guess from there, your next biggest game, it was the Lincoln game. Now I know we touched on this before. Obviously, we know the program Lincoln was, but I go back to the fact, though, you were really efficient in that game, really crisp in that game. I think you set career highs for touchdowns, and if I there's something else here. Yeah, you set a season high of 5 touchdowns. You almost had a 70% completion percentage. I guess what was working for you there?
Really just kind of slow everything down and not try to complicate it too much, because I definitely at times last year would try to be that guy and try to make too big of a play and force stuff. And that definitely is part of the reasons why last year was my highest year turning the ball over. So that game just really tried to go out there and just take what they were giving me and really just play kind of like a Brock Purdy, just not do too much, just make the throws that needed to be made.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something I think I kept pointing out was when you were playing, I felt like when you were playing within the offense, kind of taking what was given, we were having tremendous success. That's why I kept going back to the Lincoln game. It seemed like you were playing within the offense. We saw that, the numbers, and then like you mentioned before, at times maybe you were trying to make the play. But now kind of having a year within the system now, a year of chemistry with your receivers, them now knowing how you might like certain routes ran, them kind of knowing how you throw certain routes. Do you feel more confident now heading into this upcoming season, though, that you will be able to cut down on the turnovers?
I do. I that's one big thing that I'm really going to try to work on this year, just because that I'd say that was my biggest downfall to this last year is I just wasn't very smart with the football. And I think that's probably just because I wasn't always 100% sure in that offense. And just because it was my first year running the offense, and I just didn't know it like the back of my hand like I should. And being able to play and kind of get to know the guys and see what everybody brings to the table and feeling more comfortable kind of throughout the year. I definitely have big hopes for this year and for myself.
And then there were two other games I wanted to touch on. First, the obvious one, Missouri Southern, the one that came down to the the game-winning field goal. That had to have been weird being on the opposing sideline from guys that you had played with the past few years. So what kind of was that experience like that whole week? Because it's like I'm sure it had to be kind of like a weird, I'm supposed to be over there, not over here type of thing.
Yeah, no, that week was definitely very, very different, just because, I pretty much knew 90% of the roster and played with them for multiple games and called so many of those guys my brothers and shared a locker room with them. So it was a lot of fun, but definitely very different playing against them and being in the other team's colors instead of the good old green and gold.
Well, see, I feel like it's only going to get weirder for you because, you go there this year.
I know.
So like, how kind of are you envisioning that going?
I think it'll be a fun game for sure. Definitely get to see the good old Joplin love again, and the play there again will definitely bring back some good old memories, but have to get it done. I'd love to go out and be able to say that I beat them the last 2 years and never really had any doubts about coming to UCO and not being able to beat them or so.
And then I guess a fun game I want to touch on from this past year. The Northeastern State, it was your first battle for the President's Cup. I'm sure your teammates probably, iterated how important that game is to win. You were going for 9 straight. You were able to get 9 straight. It got kind of it was starting off really good. Got kind of dicey there for you all, and then you all put it away late. How would you say your what was your thoughts on your first President's Cup experience?
Definitely, as you said, we kind of started off the game pretty well, and we looked sharp, and then kind of got lax towards the middle of it, and they definitely turned it into a game. Because as you kind of know, the MIAA, anybody can beat anybody. So if you let a team hang around, it gives them hope, and they definitely thought that they could play with us. And but we ended up kind of figuring it out towards the end and kind of pushed the lead in the fourth quarter. So it was definitely a fun experience playing in the Presidential Cup, just because we didn't really have anything like that at Southern. We just, hated Pitt. So that was always just the game. And that doesn't change anywhere you go. We still hate Pitt here. So
yeah, I said that because literally 2019, 2021, and last year, yeah, it's frustrating against Pitt because it's tough because the margin of error against them is so slim. But I feel we feel like we got hosed back in 2021. We had momentum offensively. We got to stop defensively. We forced a punt. They called an illegal shift call on us. They were able to run the clock out. We still kind of have gripes about that but now you're in an interesting spot because, to my knowledge, you all are still playing Northeastern State this year. As you know, they're independent for the next 2 years. I'm not sure where we're standing on that. I'm hoping the game continues, but regardless, not only could this maybe be the last one for a little bit, but this is also, if you all win, would be a decade straight of keeping the cup in Edmond. How big will that be for you, knowing if you get that win, your name is kind of cemented in UCO legacy as being the guy that led UCO to their 10th straight President's Cup win?
I mean, it'd be awesome. We're hoping to really change and kind of be a push forward and be a different type of team than we were last year, and really try to run the table this year, as kind of our motto is. So being and getting 10 straight, I think is a must for us. And I'm very confident in our team and kind of what we're going to be bringing this next year to get that done.
And speaking of that motto now, because now you're going to be looked upon as one of the leaders, right? Because Steph has graduated, your center Lane Grantham has graduated, Peyton Scott, who was well respected in the locker room, he's graduated now. So now, knowing you kind of have to become one of the leaders in that locker room, what kind of is your mindset heading into the off season, since the goal is to run the table? What kind of do you feel like you have to do from a leadership standpoint to help the team accomplish that?
Really just try to elevate everybody's game and really kind of set the standard every day of what type of work that we need to put in to be able to be known as one of the top teams in the MIAA, and hopefully go make a chance to go get in the playoffs and do something special that hasn't been done here in quite a while. So it's definitely a different feel right now to everything in the locker room. You kind of get to see what guys are starting to understand that they need to lead, and I definitely understand that I'm one of those guys that needs to kind of pull guys with me and just elevate everybody's game around me.
And is there also kind of a sense of urgency, because looking at the roster, right? Obviously, this is your last year. You know, you go down your receiver, Jacob Delso. This is it for him. You've got a lot defensively. You know, guys in the secondary. This is it for them. Have you felt like a sense of urgency, like we've got to make this work now, because it is literally now or never?
Yeah, I definitely feel that way, especially since it's my last year. I definitely want to do something I've never got to do in my collegiate career, is go to the playoffs and really have a winning record on a team, because the last 3 years that I've played, the two at Southern were under 500, and then last year we finished 5-6. So it's definitely a kind of mindset for the whole team right now, that it's now or never, just because we have a lot of guys that are a little older, junior, seniors, so we're not looked at as more of a young team anymore. It's we're more veterans on the team, so there's a lot of guys that have been around the game, around the league, and bring a lot of special abilities and stuff to the team that is very well needed this upcoming year.
I guess my final UCO question for you is, what is it like playing for Coach, I think his name's Beringstool?
Mm-hmm. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. He's definitely a coach that has very, very much pushed me to become a better leader on this team, and kind of he's always believed in me since I've been here, even though there would be times that I really didn't believe all the way in myself. And he's one of those coaches that always has your back and really just wants the best for you. And he'll let you know if you're not meeting his standard. So he's a great guy, and I've enjoyed playing for him this last year, and hopefully, have a great next year and create a great memory with him and start something special here at UCO.
Well, before we get you out of here, we do this with all the new guests, kind of some more get to know you type questions. I think I'm might know the answer to this, but your favorite sports team can be any sport.
Obviously it's Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City kid. Gonna be back in Kansas City actually for the Super Bowl to kind of enjoy the environment up there and hopefully see Patrick Mahomes get it done one more time, and be able to be in that conversation of Tom Brady and be on his type of path. So.
Well, okay. I have nothing against the Chiefs other than the fact I go back to they were. So I'm a Steelers fan, diehard Steelers fan. We were supposed to be the ones to get Mahomes, and then Andy Reid said no. We're gonna jump them in the draft, take a generational quarterback. It just dashed the hopes of Pittsburgh fans to go from Big Ben to Mahomes, and we've been in this wilderness of Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and you look at Kansas City and it's like, oh, that could have been us. So it's tough.
Yeah, I was about to say it's tough when you you pass up on a guy and you can't get a guy like Patrick Mahomes with him literally just being a generational quarterback that might be able to be in the conversation with Tom Brady for the best quarterback to ever play the game, really. So,
yeah, that's tough. It's tough. Okay, let's see. Now, would you say he's your favorite quarterback then?
I'd say at the moment, yes, but growing up, it was definitely I was a Aaron Rodgers fan. I always wanted to be able to throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers, make the off-platform throws, and he just had that swagger to him and just tough. I mean, playing in Green Bay, playing in Lambeau, you just have a history of great quarterbacks there, and him just being able to throw the ball so effortlessly. I just loved watching how he played the game, and kind of wanted myself to be as an Aaron Rodgers type of quarterback.
I feel like you had the moments like that, right? I mean, I think the touchdown pass you had in Pitt State to Delso, that was very what do they call it? Off kilter plays, right? I'm sitting there like, okay, where's he going with this? Where's he going with this? And then you throw a dart in the back of the end, and I was like, that's where he went with it. So like it's not just like not giving yourself any kind of credit there now. I mean, there were some times now. Let's see. Okay, so now you're also a hooper. So do you have a favorite basketball team?
Definitely. I was a Golden State kid just because I loved how Steph Curry could shoot the ball. I loved Klay Thompson. That's kind of who I modeled myself after playing basketball, just because I knew I wasn't able to dribble like Steph Curry, but I knew I could run around and shoot the three like Klay Thompson. So watching those two get after it and really just be probably the greatest shooting duo of all time. That's why my team was Golden State for sure.
Now, thankfully for you, because the Warriors aren't necessarily fan favorites in the state, but there's a few other Warrior fans on the roster. On your team. It's been a tough year for them, this season. You think they can turn it around though and make a run?
Nah, probably not. I don't think so. I think. I love old Steph Curry, but he needs a little bit more help right now. But yeah, I don't think that they'll do too much. They might sneak their way into the playoffs or something, but I don't see them doing anything too special this year.
Yeah, I agree. Then they gotta retool that roster at some point. Yeah, it's just not. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Your favorite hobby outside of football?
I'm definitely a big car guy. I love cars. Just kind of. I love going to car shows and stuff like that, but I also another kind of sport related one is golf. I kind of got into golf with some of my teammates at Southern and ended up getting to know some of the guys down here. And last summer, playing some golf with some of them to kind of build a bond with them. So that was definitely a fun little moment and a little hobby that I like to do.
Okay. Now, as a fellow car guy, I guess do you have a favorite car?
I would probably say the old split back Corvette. I'm trying to think what year that was exactly. I know it was a 60s model, but that's probably one of my favorite cars of all time. My uncle had a 82 Corvette that I was trying to convince him to buy off of him for so long. And nice little T-top and all. He let me drive it a couple of times, and I was like, man, I just have to have this. And my dad was not going for it. He said that you don't need that type of a car, and you would want the trunk space and not want to be riding around all of college with a 2-seater. So.
I feel your pain because I was going to get, coincidentally, it was my uncle's too, his 72 Malibu, and then that was next, and I was like, oh, come on, man, how you like I get it from a parent standpoint. Okay, maybe you don't want your kid in a vehicle that fast, but like, come on, I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, I would have loved to have it, but I can definitely understand where my dad was coming from. So,
yeah, it's just tough in the moment. It's tough in the moment. Now you mentioned that golf outing you had with some of your teammates. I'm curious, who ended up winning that golf outing?
We're all pretty bad, of course. You know, golf's a sport that takes forever to master, and I can usually play a good front nine, and then the back nine's just absolutely terrible. But there's some decent little players on the team, I will say. We kind of more just play for fun and get out there just to spend some quality time with each other on the course.
Okay, that's a good thing. Let's see, you play video games at all?
Not too much, but I will every once in a while. I've been playing the last game I actually played was the High on Life, little Rick and Morty type of game, and then I also, of course, play the good old Modern Warfare and all the Call of Duties and stuff like that. So.
Now, are we Xbox, PlayStation, or PC?
PlayStation, of course. I've had a PlayStation. I had the PlayStation 2. Then the PlayStation 3 got me really through high school and into my first couple of years at college. And then now we finally upgraded to the PlayStation 5. And so I won't ever go away from PlayStation.
Damn, that's tough. I think now there's only maybe 3 guys so far that I know that are still Xbox guys outside of Coach Curley and Coach Doral. So that's just tough. That's just tough. Okay. Let's see. Okay, your favorite musical artist?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I definitely like a lot of different styles of music, but probably. This last year, I think my most listened to artist was Tory Lanez. Okay. So
Okay.
Not one that everybody kind of listens to, but I really like him just because the different styles he brings to music, and a lot of his albums are all just different from each other.
Okay. I appreciate it not being NBA YoungBoy or one of the babies, but every time I ask this question, it's one of those three, and it's just like, gosh, I know there's more artists out there. So I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to him, but definitely not my top listen to artists.
Okay, you see, you have a favorite song by him?
There's a lot. I really like his Alone at Prom album. That's probably my favorite. I can listen to almost every song on that album. So really that whole album's just a repeat album for me.
Okay. Now, I ask this every time because I know the aux cord in the locker room is not a place for the weak. Now, I have to ask, have you been one of the brave souls to put something on the aux? And if you have, has your phone been yanked off of said aux?
I mean, I've played a few songs here and there on the aux. We've definitely, heard Take It Off the Aux before. But in the locker room, we kind of play a little bit of everything, which I do like, just so we're not just listening to straight headbangers or straight young boy or straight country or anything like that. We just kind of mix it up. So I do enjoy that.
Okay. So who in your opinion is the best on the aux?
I might have to give it to Andrew Carney. He kind of plays it all. So we'll throw it back some days with him. We'll get the country vibes going. We'll get the Boosie going. We'll play a little bit of everything.
Okay, now who in your opinion is the worst?
Ooh, I don't know. We'll give it to old Lamb. He's not terrible all the time, but there's some choices you're just like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, it's funny you say. I feel like the past 3 guys I've talked to, I know JK said it, then Terrell said it. They all point the Lamb, and I'm just like, that poor man. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Let's see. Well, okay. It's funny you say that because your tackle Noah, when he came on, I guess a few years ago now, he informed me that he, for some unknown reason, put on a Justin Bieber song one time, and then was surprised the phone got yanked. When I told him, I don't know what you thought was going to happen. Like, there's a time and place.
Yeah, definitely. Since I've been here, he has not been on his little Bieber fever, so there hasn't been any Justin Bieber played by him in the locker room.
Okay, good. I'm glad he. I'm glad he learned that lesson there, because that's it. Okay, let's see. Okay, your favorite food?
My favorite food, definitely Mexican food. Probably. I like a little spice. I'll eat almost anything though. I'm not a picky eater at all. So.
Okay. Now are we a soft shell taco guy or a hard shell taco guy?
I'll eat both for sure, but I definitely like my soft shells.
Okay. Let's see. Now, in terms of your gear, I know you have a towel. You have the quarterback wristband, but like, are you heavy into gears like some of your teammates, like Mosley and maybe Delso, or are you more of like, just give me the bare necessities and let me go out there and play football?
I'm not much of a gear guy, but I definitely do like to, have my compressions on just so I don't get too crazy of turf burns and stuff like that. But I mean, good old compressions, and I'll throw an arm sleeve on there. Other than that, I mean, just put me out there and play.
Okay. Now, who would you say probably is the best dressed guy on the team in terms of gear?
I'll probably give it to Delso. He'll put it on. I'll give it to him. I like to mess with him, telling him that he has no style, but I'll give it to Delso probably.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, now speaking of Delso, because I brought this up to Real. Now, in my opinion, you should have had a 6 touchdown against Lincoln because you delivered a pass to this man in stride. All right, he had nothing but green turf. I'm like, oh, here we go. Now, he came on here and told me he's going to get faster. I was like, this is his chance to show it from the world right here, and it gets caught from behind. Now, he tried to explain to me that he was tired because he had blocked somebody or something or another. Now, I gotta ask now, because I mean, hey, that's not a touchdown. You could have had 6 touchdowns in that game, and you only had 5. Did he get flack for that? Because I mean, I feel like he could have at least have gotten further down the field. I don't know if he even got to the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, we all like giving the receivers hard time, especially I'd say Delso and TD. I'm definitely closer with, so I definitely get to talk a little bit more to them and get a bash on them. But of course, that it goes both ways, and they have many clips that they can pull up of me missing them, and so it's just an ongoing little battle. We all like to keep going, so it's fun.
Okay, yeah. Because when I brought that up to him, he tried to steer a deflection away and say, "Well, we know there was a few throws that was missed. Okay, that's fine, but we're talking about why you did not run this down the field."
Well, I guess we'll just give it to him, saying that he was probably tired from blocking somebody. But TD tells me he never gets tired, so. I don't know. Maybe there's another reason. Maybe he just doesn't have that top speed anymore.
Well, see, now, because when I talked to Terrell, he said he's taking Jacob with him to speed training now. So hopefully, if that opportunity arises again this season and you throw a dart to him in stride and there's green turf ahead, we get further down the field there. Because I was like, bro, come on. I mean, come on. You say, I'm going to get back to how I was at Dakota, and I was a legit burner. I said, fantastic. That was his chance. Dry conditions, nothing but green turf, not a soul in sight. And then okay. All right. I want your take as the man that threw the pass, thinking that probably should have been a touchdown. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, we like to play that and say if we would have thrown it to Oscar probably would have scored. But
oh, that's tough. That's tough. Okay. Well, I guess do you have any pregame routines that you normally do?
Not really anything too crazy. I mean, I like to listen to my music and kind of get locked in and kind of go over the first 20 plays that we have scripted and just go through my process in my head and just really be ready to try to start off the game fast. So,
okay. I guess my final question for you is what can UCO fans expect to see out of Dawson Herl this upcoming season?
I like to hopefully bring a lot more explosive offense to UCO fans. With it being my second year, we really want to be able to put up some points and be an offense that's kind of feared throughout the league. So that's one thing that we've just been consistently working on with the receivers and getting down our timing right now and putting in the work, getting catches in and all that. So definitely expect a better offense this year from the Broncos.
Okay. Well, Dawson, I appreciate you taking time this afternoon to come on and talk to me. I'm wishing you the best of luck the rest of the off season. I know spring will be here before you know it. And you know, if you ever want to come on, you're more than welcome to.
All right, I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Dawson.
All right, see ya.